This is retired Major General Mabula testifying at the Ngabinde inquiry into the fitness to hold office of Andrew Chauke, the advocate. Why his testimony matters. He sits at the intersection of organized crime investigations, hoax structures, provincial command, meaning he potentially knows how cases of the Katumana were built, blocked, and redirected. In every recording, I'm always going to revert back to the terms of reference, which is what the sisters do as well. And I now see why they always tell the evidence leaders to focus on the terms of reference. The core accusation of Chauke in the Boysen matter is that he improperly participated in and helped drive the racketeering prosecutions and its defense in court. More specifically, improper prosecutorial conduct, failure to properly assess the evidence, improper litigation conduct, acting beyond or outside the proper role. Chauke himself has already testified and said he was the coordinator, the liaison in this matter, but he did not drive the prosecution decisions. Mabula fits in these exact terms of reference as a system witness. He helps show that the Katumana matters were treated seriously at investigative level, that they were prepared to be evidence worth pursuing, and that obstruction and later collapse raised questions about whether the prosecutorial handling was proper. Now, number one, his testimony supports the terms of reference issue about whether there was a real evidential basis behind the Katumana matters. Mabula says he was formally mandated by then Hawks head Dramat to lead a fact-finding investigative intervention into the KZN after the Sunday Times allegations, and that the team was to work with IPID on the identified cases. That matters because it places him inside the investigative chain, not as a bystander. Later, General Mabula says that from what he saw with his own eyes and what he heard with his own ears, they appeared to be prima facie case, and that he was surprised when the matter was later effectively withdrawn by Shamila Batohi. That goes directly to the terms of reference question of whether the prosecution was irrational or baseless, because this is what Chauke is accused of. Because his evidence tends to weaken the idea that there was simply nothing there. And then number two, General Mabula's testimony speaks to the terms of reference issue of whether investigations were obstructed, undermined, or prevented from running properly. The chair and the evidence leader put to Mabula that both internal disciplinary processes and external IPID processes were being blocked, and that even Mabula himself had referred to being monitored, tracked, and obstructed while trying to deal with the Katumana related issues. Mabula agrees with that framing as is asked to explain what he encountered. That is important because it supports a picture of institutional resistance and interference. That is very important, which helps explain why the truth finding and accountability process may have been broken down. And then number 3, General Mabula's testimony is relevant to the terms of reference issue about the collapse or derailment of the Katumana matter as a whole. General Mabula's evidence does not directly say Chauke personally did X, Y, Z, and or anything unlawful. Instead, it helps the panel ask a broader question. How could a matter that investigators and prosecutors had worked on around the clock later be discarded? His surprise at the collapse, despite his view that there was at least prima facie evidence predicate offenses were there, goes to the terms of reference around the handling of the case collapse and whether proper prosecutorial judgment was exercised. Number 4, General Mabula's testimony particularly touches the terms of reference around motive, improper purpose, but only indirectly. He says there were rumors and allegations that he himself had been captured, and he refers to having appeared before the Zondo Commission to that. But his evidence here does not actually prove an improper motive on Chauke's part. On this terms of reference branch, Mabula is more of a background credibility atmosphere witness than a direct motive witness. He is actually an important witness because he was on the ground. Well, in closing, what I can say confidently is that the NPA is a crime scene.